These are things I wish I knew before I hit Grand Champ. This video is for all of you who are pushing through the ranks and wanting to climb up, or at least to make your climb as optimal as you can. Now, while these are things I wish I knew or wish I did, they can all be seen and taken on board as advice to those of you who might be thinking about the same thing or want to try new things out as you rank up. A little disclaimer though, the advice in this video is purely for ranking up and becoming a better player, and less so focused on the casual player base. When I first started playing, I spent almost all of my time playing with my two friends from high school, as they were the ones that showed me the game. During this time, I probably went from bronze to silver in today's rankings, but back then it was known as prospect. Basically, I was bad at the game. It wasn't until I actually started playing ones and then started to play by myself that I actually saw some improvement in my gameplay. While my friends slowly stopped playing, I played more and more while solo queuing, and it got to the point where I quickly passed them ranking wise and started climbing. But then, as I climbed through the rest of my ranks up to around champion, I found myself partying up with players every now and then, as I just wanted someone trustworthy as a teammate, as I'm sure many of you do as well. However, I wish I had spent a lot more of my time grinding through those gold to champion ranks while solo queuing. The reason being, solo queue forces you to adapt and to be comfortable with a variety of teammates and a whole bunch of different playstyles. The downside is that you might end up with teammates that are worse than your duo queue partner, but it forces you to have to get better in order to try to carry those teammates that aren't performing too well. Solo queue puts you in the mindset of having to play at your best because you can't really rely on a random stranger to be the best teammate for you. And while in that mindset, games are going to be a lot more challenging, but also help you to better yourself as a player through a tougher challenge. These days, I tend to solo queue unless it's for content, like teaming up with people I know will help contribute to footage for YouTube. But apart from that, I would purely solo queue if I wasn't a YouTuber, and I suggest you do the same. I spent so much time in free play trying to learn flip resets and air dribbles and ceiling shots, and when it comes down to it, I only really go for them once or twice a game. However, what I didn't spend time doing in my early days is working on shooting, recoveries, and good boost management. And while those first two are still mechanics, I wish I had spent way more time working on recoveries and shooting, so that these days I would be a lot more efficient and able to stay in the play much more. Shooting would not only help with actually shooting to score, but also general accuracy, passes, and clears. If I could, I would go back and spend an extra 200 to 300 hours purely working on shooting alone through different training packs and workshop maps. And when it comes to recoveries, an extra 100 hours could have easily put me way ahead of where I am now. Actually, I might. I think I'll put 100 hours into recoveries pretty soon and see what that does for me. I think just an extra 100 hours for anyone going into recoveries or shooting will put you a long way ahead. I always preach about playing ones, and it was the one thing that pushed me up the ranks the fastest when I was starting out. But around Diamond is when I stopped caring about ones and only really played it so that it wasn't the rank that fell behind my other two ranks. That being said, I wish ones had been my main game mode all the way through. I think if you main ones, you become a much more well-developed player. Of course, it doesn't teach you anything about rotations and team play, but it does a great job at teaching you all of the fundamentals. Shooting, challenging, defending, pressuring, shadow defending, dribbling, boost management, and these days, solo aerial plays. Being a ones main as you climb through the ranks might be frustrating and you might want to delete the game, but it is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself if you're wanting to improve fast. This one is probably the most important for me personally. I wish I had sat down and probably learned both directional air rolls in the early days. While I was learning the game, I started out with just normal air roll, and I was fine with this for a while, like I'm sure most of you are, but then I decided to pick up air roll left. After doing this, my aerial control felt so much better, and I seriously regret not putting in the time to learn air roll right at the same time. While you can easily get by on normal air roll, and I know many people who are just normal air roll players, I think if you can actually manage to master both directional air rolls as well as normal, you can gain complete control of your car in the air in any situation. Now obviously I know that's the goal for a lot of us, complete control of your car. And one of the players I looked up to while I was learning was Astral, who, if you've ever watched some of the shots this man can pull off, has very clearly developed full control over his car. And yes, he uses both directional air rolls and normal. Now this one isn't one of those you have to do this kind of thing. It's not like that at all. It's just something I really wish I put the time into doing. And then the last one, which seems like it's going against everything I just said, but I promise you it's not. I wish I didn't let myself get into the habit of air rolling non-stop. Now there is a big difference between being able to control your car with directional air rolls and then air rolling just because you can. A lot of the time, air rolling isn't needed, and that was something that I didn't end up learning for a very, very long time. And because of that, I developed a really bad habit of air rolling all the time and often putting myself in less than optimal positions because I will have just air rolled my car out of position. I wish I had learned, but also understood to only use air roll when I need to adjust the car for different angles, rather than constantly spinning because I thought it kind of looked cool, or I don't know what it was, but now it's just ingrained into me and it's how I play. But once again, this is something I'm slowly getting better at. As an extra little bonus piece, there is a very side side of me from the content side of things that wishes I had fully committed to mechanics. Like, literally went all in, 3,000 hours in free play kind of thing, and just grinded away learning how to hit crazy shots. But that's purely for the YouTube side of things. I personally think that this game can get pretty stale sometimes. There's nothing really to play for except trying to get to that next rank. And when people don't get to that next rank, you can see them slowly starting to fall away from the game. And so I think to combat the repetitiveness that this game has, I would be having a lot more fun with it if I put in a lot more time working on mechanics so that I can now mess around and go for clips. But that might just be my position on the game because it's something I do for a job. I'm sure some of you might be thinking the same way, but from a content side of things, I think mech is all people really think about when it comes to watching gameplay. And so as a creator, it's something I regret not training more of. So those are the 5 or kind of 6 things that I wish I knew before I hit Grand Champ. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like as it does really help out the channel a lot. Also, if you do have any other advice that I didn't mention here, then please feel free to leave a comment to help out some other people. And if you are new here, subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Anyway, that is all from me, and I will see you next time.